Kansas City Sports Update Studios. Welcome to Kingdom Radio, where we talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs. Brought to you by Arrowhead Update. Join Chris and Richard on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Player FM, CastBox, and all third-party applications. Check us out on Facebook platforms such as Kansas City Sports Update and Arrowhead Update. And if you cannot find us there, Google or search Kingdom Radio and Kansas City Chiefs, and you will find us. Welcome to the Kingdom. Kingdom.
How are we doing, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome to KC Kingdom Radio. I'm your host, Richard Smith, and with me, as always, my co-host, Chris Chavez. And look, tonight, we have some huge news. You know, I thought last week was some monumental news with Patrick Mahomes signing, a $500 million plus extension with the Kansas City Chiefs. But this week, Mahomes has taken it to a whole other level. He is not scared to invest his money, and he has already made a business decision, to keep him in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes invested in ownership in the Kansas City Royals. And if you are not aware of what has happened with the Royals here in the last year, owner David Glass passed away shortly after selling the Kansas City Royals for $1 billion to a local businessman named John Sherman, who was on the board of trustees with the Kansas City Royals, and I believe also had some ties with the Atlanta Braves. And so, since that happened, the Royals have hired Mike Matheny as their their manager to manage the team. And now there's another addition into the ownership spectrum, and that is the man Patrick Mahomes himself. Chris, what does this mean? A guy this early in his career in the NFL, signing the biggest contract in the history of sports, and turning around and investing into a local Kansas City professional team. I mean, what does that mean, Chris? That's huge.
It solidifies him in the community for the rest of his career as a Chief. Because even if his contract ends and he still wants to play, they're going to sign him because he is Kansas City.
Yes.
And now the fact that he is investing in a major league team in the same city, that's going to be a matter of after his football career, he's still going to be there in Kansas City investing in the community because he loves the community so much. And what he's doing is something that we've very rarely ever seen from any athlete, in which they get to, while they're playing, and they have any aspect of ownership in another team. But for him to do it at such a young age, I mean, he's the youngest owner of a team ever. If you exclude Serena Williams' daughter, who's 2, so I don't really count that one. I mean, it really says a lot for him and how smartly, intellectually, he's spending his money.
Right.
Although, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, he bought himself a really nice ride with the money he's got too.
Got a Ferrari, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He got himself a Ferrari.
Beautiful car.
It is a beautiful car. And look, he isn't wasting any time, and I cannot blame the man. I think one of the smartest things you could ever do in a situation that Patrick Mahomes is in is have a plan for your money. And it's no mistake that, Patrick has had a lengthy run with baseball. I mean, he's a baseball star as well. His father, Pat Mahomes, obviously was a major league pitcher. And so he grew up in the locker room. So it's really not a huge surprise for me that Patrick Mahomes made this investment. But at the point in his career and his life, this is a huge deal. You don't see this too much. And like Chris noted, he is the youngest person ever to have partial ownership of any major league team. And it's an amazing situation. I think it took everybody in Chiefs Kingdom off guard. But I will say this. there must be a sense and a foundation of love for Kansas City that Patrick Mahomes has built, and it's showing now. Any other player who gets this big contract, what are they going to do with their money? They didn't invest it into a major league sports team, so this is something else. You don't hear this a lot, and I'm gonna quote John Sherman, chairman and CEO of the Royals, on what he said about Patrick buying into the Royals. He said, "We are very proud and excited to have Patrick as our partner and ownership in the ownership group of this franchise. Along with the rest of Kansas City, I've watched Patrick compete and become an extraordinary leader, both on and off the football field. He's consistent with the entirety of our ownership group. He has a deep commitment to Kansas City and a real passion for the game of baseball, dating back to his childhood." And then so here's Patrick Mahomes' statement to becoming ownership of the Royals. "I'm honored to become a part owner of the Kansas City Royals. I love this city and the people of this great town. This opportunity allows me to deepen my roots in this community, which is something I am excited to do." This shows the mentality level of a young man that is far beyond his years, and really, really soaked in the leadership that he learned, from the Major League Baseball clubhouse. He knows how franchises are run. He's seen the locker room. He's seen multiple players come in and out of the locker room over the years. I feel like Patrick will probably have a bigger voice in the Royals and their decision making than a lot of people understand, solely because he has a pulse on sports, and he's involved in another great franchise who absolutely loves him. It's no mistake that the Chiefs are a premier franchise in the NFL, and very traditional and proud of their history and heritage, and where they come from with Lamar Hunt. So Patrick Mahomes is the epitome of what the Kansas City Chiefs stand for, and I think it's a great thing that he is taking his integrity and his class and everything he represents and taking it over to the Royals as well. I think it's going to be a great thing for the Royals after selling the franchise and then hiring Mike Matheny. This is a great deal. I couldn't be more happy to be a fan of Patrick Mahomes, and I hate to quote John Elway, but John Elway even said it himself. This is the best player in the NFL right now, hands down, and there's no argument with that. So for him to extend his business outwards to another sport is probably one of the biggest things that he could do in his life. So Chris, personally, on a personal standpoint for you, being a fan of Patrick Mahomes and then him buying into the Royals, will this make you pay attention to the Royals a little more than you had before? I know that you're a Braves fan. I know you're a Braves fan, and you have been your whole life, but does this kind of change things for you a little bit? Will you pay attention to the Royals a little more now that Pat is a part of the ownership?
Well, Braves have always been my number one, but Royals have always been near and dear to my heart. Having been born in Kansas, and granted, I know the whole issue with which Kansas City it is, but when I was a kid, I didn't understand that, and so Kansas City Royals was actually my very first team, just because of the blue, my initials, and hey, it's Kansas, that's my team. And so I've always kind of followed them, rooted for them the World Series years, and I follow them, not necessarily as in-depthly as I do my Braves, but I definitely watch and I follow. And this move is going to make me really follow them even more, just to kind of see how this purchase by Mahomes affects the running of the team. Does he do things differently? Does he affect things differently than how they've already been run?
I think he will.
And that's what I'm going to be looking for here in the next couple of years.
Yes. And Chris, look, I think...
No, absolutely. he's probably the only owner in the history of Major League Baseball that has hit a home run in the park that he now owns.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a very, very great point.
If you remember the softball game last year,
yes.
I mean, granted it wasn't in baseball, but it was still a home run. That's just a little fun thing there. But he's been around baseball his entire life.
Still there, Chris? Well, we might have lost Chris there. But yes, he has been around baseball his entire life. We're going to try to get Chris back on here. But here's the situation at hand. When you think of Patrick Mahomes being an owner of a major league ball club, here's the scenario. If you are true ownership and you have a guy like Patrick Mahomes coming into your organization, and Chris, are you there?
Yeah.
All right, got you back on. All right, so look, if you're Patrick Mahomes and you're a member of, you're an owner of the Kansas City Royals, but you're the biggest superstar on the planet as we speak, I think there's no question that Patrick Mahomes will hold a lot of ground in the decision making, within the Kansas City Royals. I think that the ownership and the front office would be fools, not to allow Patrick Mahomes to have some say. He knows the sport. I'm sure he knows the farm club. He knows Major League Baseball. This isn't a situation where he's buying into a ball club and walking into it blind. I mean, this man knows baseball, and he knows success in baseball, and he knows the sport top to bottom. That was his first love, and his first big sport was baseball. So I feel like that. Yeah, I cannot see Patrick Mahomes being part ownership and not having any say in what is going on with the club and decision making and bringing in players. Chris, what do you think about that? I mean, I really think Patrick Mahomes will have a big impact on what is done with the Royals.
That last point that you just made is going to be very impactful as well. He's a very lovable, likable guy, and I think that he's going to be able to, I'm not going to say manipulate, but coerce some players to come and play for the Royals that maybe prior to this year might not have given them a second thought. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be very, very hands-on with the team. Like we've seen in the NFL and Major League Baseball, there are a lot of owners who buy the team and then they just kind of let the GM do whatever, and they're very hands-off. Right. They just want to make their money. I think Mahomes is going to be very involved with the team, and that's going to be great to watch. Watch him develop in that aspect as well.
Yes, going, from the best quarterback on the planet and possibly the best athlete on the planet to becoming a Major League Baseball team owner. That's a huge leap. But I think that Patrick Mahomes is the type of person who's prepared for that, is really prepared for anything that puts in front of him. And any business in the world right now would be a fool not to welcome him with open arms. If you think about this scenario, Chris, Patrick Mahomes was going into his fourth year with the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl victory, and MVP of the league. Now you have your hands in a Major League Baseball team. What happens if you have your hands in that Major League Baseball team and they win the World Series while you're winning the Super Bowl? What would that mean for the legacy of Patrick Mahomes?
That's something that I can't think of another player who would have a World Series and a Super Bowl win or ring. I know that we've had multiple sport players. Bo Jackson, who definitely has his roots in Kansas City. And he won multiple MVPs, but that's not World Series rings.
Right.
That it's going to open up a whole nother book, and this is really going to be setting or what's the word I'm looking for? Creating a path for players in the future.
Correct.
Who, when they reach a certain level, they could potentially start looking at investing in team ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see that because, so many, not all of them, but so many of these owners have never played the sport, and so they don't respect the players.
Right.
And so they treat them in a certain manner. It's going to be incredible to see long term how Patrick Mahomes' ownership of the Royals changes the game.
Yes.
For baseball.
And
because they have a CBA coming up, I believe it's next year, and he's not going to be the Andy Reid voice in the room, but he's going to be in that room. He's going to see how things work, and then for the next CBA or even the CBA following that, he could be that voice that helps to really unite the two sides.
I could definitely see something monumental like that happening. This really is something that's never happened before. So to talk about it and think about the future of something like this is almost unspeakable. But I could see how he could open the door for future athletes, to invest into another team or that obviously professional athletes invest in businesses, but one thing that I am a little nervous about, and I don't think he's going to do this, but we really should touch base on this, is, Patrick, don't spread yourself too thin. You still have, goals to accomplish with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, we all praise you for buying into the Royals, but remember your job. You have one job to do, and that is to win Super Bowls for the Chiefs. That's who's paying you this money to invest into the Royals, so you need to stay committed to the investment of the organization. Which I don't, from the type of person that Patrick Mahomes is and his integrity, I don't see him not investing everything he has into the Chiefs and every minute and moment he has outside of that into his business. And this isn't just a sports team anymore. This is Patrick Mahomes' business. Okay, so that changes the dynamic of a lot of things here. He plays for the Chiefs. The Royals are his business. So. There's a line there. There's a line in the sand from being a player and an owner. You just described it, Chris, and I think it's going to be nice to have an owner who's played the game, who's played multiple sports, who is really, advancing in his own sport, to top level, and it's not even close to, the next person below him. And this is just great for Kansas City. If you all aren't excited here in Chiefs Kingdom, I really don't know what to tell you, because the Royals really are headed in the right direction. They really have a solid roster right now, and it's just pulling it all together. And Mike Matheny, being that guy, he's got to be a manager. One of the things in St. Louis that they really were frowning upon Mike Matheny was he was with that organization for a long time, and he was just friends with a lot of players and a lot of the organization, and it was tough for him to make managerial decisions. And I don't see that happening with the Royals. And also, with the fiery spirit that Mahomes has, I guarantee you, if the Royals are losing games, that man's not going to be happy. Patrick Mahomes is a winner. And that's it. That's all he wants to do is win. And I believe that he's going to hold the Royals accountable as well. So, Kansas City, I really, we wanted to touch base on this Patrick Mahomes deal. We can talk a lot about it. Business investments. His investment with the Chiefs. The Chiefs' investment with him. These are all huge decisions, and he's pulling the trigger and making the right moves with his money. And for a young person to do this is almost unthinkable and unspeakable. But congratulations, Patrick. You really deserve it. Just make the city proud like you already have. We love you. We have embraced you, and you are just doing things here that is unthinkable. And I couldn't fathom Patrick Mahomes buying into the Royals before I heard the news break earlier today. Chris, so I mean, that's a huge deal. You know, we've talked all about the Patrick Mahomes thing. We're very thankful that he's bought into the Royals. We're thankful he's a Chief. We're thankful he's in Kansas City and is going to be here for a long time. And that's the news today. That is the news today. But there are a couple other things that we want to talk about, have to do with the Chargers and some other things around the league. And I'm kind of going to let Chris take off on that because he was the one who brought it to my attention. And I did see the Joey Bosa signing. But, Chris, go ahead and talk about that signing with the Chargers today and what that means, and then the other news around the league.
Hey, so I just got breaking news on my phone. I'm going to put this out there really quickly. Tyreek Hill was just ranked number 22 in the top 100 NFL players. So congratulations, nice. Cheetah.
Congratulations, Tyreek.
So, yeah, so... to go to that contract, Joey Bosa just signed a 5-year extension with the Chargers for $135 million. Kudos to him. You know, I mean, he's definitely making his money, and we look forward to him continually not making an impact against the Chiefs because our tackles, let's just be honest, own them.
Yeah, right.
And then the other component is, you know, kind of watching the league and the players who are opting out of the season due to COVID.
Yes.
Most of the teams end up having one, maybe two players opt out. But there's one team where they've had a lot of players, 6 now currently, who have opted out due to COVID concerns. And that's the New England Patriots.
Yep.
And they've had 2 big names in their safety and linebacker who have opted out, Hightower and Pat Chung. It's interesting to see, and you know, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but it's interesting to see that the Patriots have so many more players opting out than any other team.
Yes.
And maybe it's just their luck, but you know, it's just highly questionable given who the head coach is and his history with pushing lines.
You can't help but question it, and you know, and that's a fact.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. It's definitely going to be one of those things that when they reboot Unsolved Mysteries, it's going to be something that is going to be a recurring theme of Bill Belichick on Unsolved Mysteries.
You know, and I feel like on that Unsolved Mysteries episode, they're going to specifically say that Belichick finds loopholes, you know, to put himself in this position to have all these mysteries unsolved. And so, you know, I'm with you, Chris. It's hard not to look at this situation and say, well, are the Patriots throwing the season so they can get their guy early in the draft next season, which I think is Trevor Lawrence. That's who I think they're looking at. And it is a Bill Belichick move. I mean, a number of players have opted out, and it wouldn't surprise me a bit if, you know, the Patriots paid him under the table to make that move. And like you said, Chris, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but at this point, it's really hard not to. It's hard not to. But I will say this. The Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes. And at this point, well, I don't think we're worried about the Patriots. I don't think we're worried about Cam Newton or the possibility of Trevor Lawrence next season if the Patriots, you know, throw the 2020 season. And, you know, like you'd mentioned, they could possibly go 500 or a game under, maybe a game over. But, yeah, that's where I see them sitting too, Chris. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We'll keep a close eye on that, and we'll keep Chiefs Kingdom updated because it is an interesting story just because it's the Patriots and Bill Belichick, and you never know what you're going to get with those guys. You never know. You never know. So, Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes is now the owner part owner of the Royals, the most highly impactful athlete on the entire planet, a superstar, our MVP, our Super Bowl MVP. Patrick Mahomes has deeply ingrained himself in Kansas City, and he's not going anywhere. 10 years, next 11 years actually with the Chiefs. And a huge future with the Royals. So it's nice to see Patrick Mahomes already, claiming his stakes on Kansas City. I know he loves Tyler, Texas, his hometown, but now Kansas City is home, and hey, we couldn't ask for better ownership within the Royals organization right this second. I'm really excited about it. So Kansas City, I hope you're excited. The Royal season is underway. This is something that Patrick Mahomes can dip his hands in right now. There's no waiting. Patrick Mahomes has a word and a voice on this organization right this second. Chris, is there anything you would like to add to this podcast before we wrap it up this evening?
No, we covered everything, and just continually go Chiefs, and now go Royals as well.
Absolutely. We could not be more ecstatic about Patrick Mahomes and what he is doing with this city. So, look, for Chris Chavez, I'm your host, Richard Smith. Thank you for tuning in to KC Kingdom Radio. Have a great night, Kansas City, and we will talk with you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Kingdom Radio, your go-to podcast for everything Kansas City Chiefs.